G'day guys, this is a flip video to explain our latest task in modern history. It's task 2, follows on from task 1, which was a timeline, and this task 2 is a comparative report and poster. The report is individual, the poster is collaborative, i.e. you will be working with someone else, no more than one other person on that poster. And I'll supply the poster paper, but we won't be getting stuck into that until week 6. So, right here you have your achievement standards. They are the guidelines that you should be following as you do the assignment to make sure that you're sticking to task and you can be graded appropriately under the Australian curriculum. At some stage you will need to decide, are you going to compare Hitler and Nazi Germany to Trump or to a big company? I've called it the Swoosh and the Swastika. So the Swoosh is the name of the Nike tick, and it sounds catchy, but you can choose any company you like. You want to do DC, you want to do Coco Chanel, you want to do Google, whatever company, big corporation that you want to choose. It's probably got to be big in size, because obviously the Nazis were big in size and popularity and influence, and then you'll be able to make that comparison. The idea of a comparison, guys, is that you find similarities and differences. Obviously Hitler and Trump are not exactly the same, or are they? And the Nike and the swastika emblem and the branding behind the Nazis are not exactly the same, or are they? But there are similarities. So if you could keep that in mind when you're getting stuck in. Next bit here, we've got our work output guideline. Now what this is basically a guide so that you don't get stuck behind. All right, so Wednesday week 5, which is actually today, we've got a double lesson, and that's your preliminary research. Okay, so you're collecting, organising, analysing. Synthesis is a fancy word for analysing, making sense of the information that you collect, and that's for questions 1 to 3, which we'll get into in a second, and they're individual. All right, so there shouldn't be much talking for this bit, just getting it absolutely cracking. All right, Friday, the double, later this week, you'll be writing the report for questions 1 to 3 in your own words. You may start this on the Wednesday, and you'll need to probably complete that for homework over the weekend and Monday night, because on Tuesday we are all going to be working on the Venn diagram with a partner. A Venn diagram is 2 circles that overlap. All right, and we'll talk more about that next week, but essentially you put the differences on the outside of the circle and the similarities on the inside when you're talking about 2 different things. All right, Wednesday next week we will be doing our individual comparative piece. So this is a piece where you really talk about the similarities and the differences between your 2 chosen areas of focus. So if you've chosen Coco Chanel and you've chosen and the swastika, then you will write your comparison on that day about those 2 focus areas, and by then you should have all the information from doing questions 1 to 3. Friday week 6, we want to be finished with all the individual stuff, and we want to be beginning on the poster in pairs, and obviously there'll be a bit more information as we go along with that. So what you really need to do to get started is come to page 2. All right, this is really important part. You need to complete these points in the Google Classroom document. So you need to log into Google Classroom using your school email address. Mine's levato@renellaec.sa.edu.au, and yours will be different depending on your name. You should know that by now because we've done lots of Google login stuff. Essentially, you're going to crack on through week 5 with getting all that information and writing the report in the Google Classroom document. Google Classroom document. Make sure you keep all your web addresses for your bibliography. Okay, question 1 is write a brief biography of Hitler. and his role with the Nazi Party. Okay, we're looking to start in Hitler's early life. Okay, we want to know what happened right at the start that may have shaped the person that he became. You don't need to answer all these questions. All right, these are just guiding questions. If you're struggling for what to write, you may like to use them as a real like lockstep guide to follow. Okay, so once you've got that part done and it's got a word guide there, which is 350 words, the next part is individual, so 250 words on either Trump or a company that you choose of your choice. All right, and there's some guidelines of questions that you can ask there, but feel free to free choice, yourself with, looking at what you can do within those guidelines. Okay, so I want to know the real interesting stuff about the focus area of your choice. All right, once you've done that, then you need to select two sources. Now this is an important bit, but we'll go through it more in Friday's lesson. Okay, pick a source. So say you're comparing Trump with Hitler. Pick a source that relates to those people. It might be a Trump speech. It might be an article about Trump. In fact, we're probably looking for a primary source. Okay, so it could be some part of Trump's advertising campaign. It might be a video about Trump that he's put out. Like I said, it might be a speech, it might be a paper that he's written. I don't know if he's ever written any paper, I don't know if he's smart enough to do that, but something like that, and analyse that source. All right, pick apart what is within that source. It might even just be a picture, all right, or a selection of pictures. Pick apart that source and write what you can see within that source, and that is your own thoughts. Okay, it doesn't have to be correct. All right, you're trying to analyse that and make meaning of that source. Use the guidelines for analysing a historical source that we did earlier in the unit. All right, then you need to do the same for a Hitler piece. If you're doing a company and the swastika, same deal. You might choose some Nazi advertising. That would be probably a good one, or some propaganda from the war, and analyse that as a source, and then compare that to maybe an ad for Nike. That could be the two sources that you choose. If you're struggling with this one, come and see me. I'll give you some ideas. All right. The next part is we start to get into pairs. Now don't pair up yet, because there's going to be a little bit of mystery around how that's going to go down. All right, and we're going to complete this Venn diagram, these circles. All right, that'll be in week 6. There's an online program called Canva that you can use for that. Then you write your individual comparative piece that I spoke about before, summing up the similarities and differences of the two focus areas. And then finally, we create a poster. Now the poster is a summary, right? A shortened version that summarizes all of your work on this topic and your partners, right? It's collaborative, so you need to have equal input, and it's got to look amazing. I want this poster to just plaster our walls of the classroom, make it look nice and pretty and beautiful and lovely. Right, from page 3 onwards, I've just given you space to work. Now how you want to lay this out is up to you. Whether you want to collect information in here or collect it in your book or in a Word document, that's fine. But I need to see things starting to turn up on here from Friday. And I can go in to my classroom and I can see everyone's names. Not sure if you can see that there. Yeah, you can. You can. So I can see what you're doing. So it's really important that you do work in there so that I know. All right. Thanks guys. Cheers.